Brightest blessings, everyone. Psychic medium Elizabeth Grove, the Paranormal Priestess. Welcome to the Paranormal Priestess YouTube channel, and thank you so much for joining me today. If you are new to the channel, welcome. My name is Elizabeth. I am a medium, divine channeler, remote spirit extractor, white witch, and divine alchemist, and I also happen to be a divine twin flame on the path to reunion. This particular video is something that came up literally last minute, and I know when that happens, there's something that's very urgent about it. There's something very important for the masses, and I would love to be able to share, whatever information is meant to help you to move forward on your own journey. That brings me just so much satisfaction to know that I'm helping other people. So I never did a video on this subject before, but I know a lot of people are going through it. You're currently within it, or you may not even recognize that you're currently within this. But it's a very necessary part of our becoming, I'll have to say, and it's also the most challenging and difficult time of your life. I often get people who come to me for readings who feel very stuck. They feel very lost. They just can't find any motivation. They can't find meaning in their life anymore. They're questioning everything, doubting everything, and going through just obstacle after obstacle. And, they come to a reader and they're looking for answers as to what's going on, what's happening to me, what am I meant to know to help myself, where's my life going, where's it meant to go, rather. And, what are you receiving? What are you receiving from the higher beings of light, my spiritual team? And oftentimes people that come to me that are wanting these readings are in something known as the dark night of the soul. And this could very well be you out there. So this video is here as a way to recognize if you are in the dark night of the soul, and as a means of support for you, some ways in which you can work with it. So behind me, I have the crone aspect. It's the older crone, and I have her cauldron back there. I have a crow, also raven medicine, and the crone, the raven medicine, the crow, the cauldron, it all signifies that shadow time, a time where we are in the dark. We have our blinders on, or we're in this cave, and it's like nothing makes sense anymore. Just nothing in our lives makes sense anymore. The things that we thought we knew to be true all crumble down, right? And the crone is the one that takes us through the transformation. And transformations are often very, very hard. They're scary, right? People associate like the Halloween crone as scary, right? And we think of Halloween, we think of Samhain. The birds of death, right? The raven medicine. They're birds of magic, but they're birds of transformation and death. The shadow parts that are very difficult to look at. Right? So the dark night of the soul really is this transformative time where it's the most difficult time of our life. We can have more than one, by the way. And everything that we thought that we knew, that we had a handle on, that we thought we understood, and that we've created these concepts or conceptual type of thinking, we realize that it's just it's not holding strong, right? We just can't hold on to it any longer. It's not working anymore. And it really is a breakdown of the ego mind, the ego self dying. And it does oftentimes, most times, feel like death. It just feels like you just don't know yourself anymore. You've lost yourself. It often follows something that happens in life, like a tower moment. It could be the end of a relationship, it could be marriage, it could be even an illness can bring the dark night of the soul. Something that breaks down, something that just, unexpectedly just shatters your world. And it ends up just taking you through your shadows. It takes you through all these different areas of your life where it could be trauma. More often it is, we go through these traumas, right? So we have these traumas come up, and we have these different layers come up. So it could be false identity. It could, attaching to this image of ourselves. Again, think concept, this conceptual thinking. We've created, or the mind, I should say, created this identity of ourselves that we have thought to be true for so long, that we've presented to the world for so long. And with the dark night of the soul, like, these things just shatter. They cease to exist. Things that we've thought about in terms of life, we've attached, again, concepts to life, how to live it, what it means, what's important to us. And we didn't realize that we were actually living our life, and I'll say lifetimes too, because we've gone through other lifetimes. We're clearing so much from the lifetimes, but we didn't realize we're going through life with blinders on. We didn't realize that we were really slaves to our ego. We didn't realize that this is not our true self. It's not our true, authentic soul, who we are in truth. And that we could have so much more in life. We could live so much more in our joy, in our passion, have higher partnerships, right? Higher relationships in terms of romance, friendships, higher experiences, opportunities. We can be so much more abundant in our life, but we've attached ourselves to this falseness, to these ideas. And when the dark night comes, it really is a spiritual awakening. So when we think about the mass awakening that's going on right now, I know the pandemic has, that in itself has brought so many people into a dark night of the soul. It's really the dark night of the soul for the entire planet when you look at it. And we start really looking at ourselves and life, the blinders come off, and we go, oh my gosh, this is not making me happy, this is not satisfying me, this used to, that I often relied on, this I actually always relied on and always worked, right? And all of those things, all those coping mechanisms, all the ways that we distract ourselves, none of that seems to be working anymore. So there is this dropout of everything, and the mind just goes, oh my God, I'm dying. I don't know who I am. I don't know what I want. I don't feel anything anymore. And it really does take us into a lot of anxiety and depression. It's hard. It's very, very hard. And, we just many times want to resist it. We want to find an escape for it. And that's not how the dark night works. We don't know how long it may last. Again, you could have more than one dark night. But it's not a time of resistance. So if you are going through this right now, and you are feeling very, very lost and feeling like you just can't hang on to who you thought you were, and you can't hang on to the life that you used to live, and you're just not resonating with it anymore, it's time for it to go. It truly is. It is for your benefit. Because you're so much more, and that's the thing, you didn't realize that, you were unconscious of it, and this is now a time where your soul is coming back. In other words, you're going to be your true soul, your awareness of your true soul, your true light, fragments of yourself from trauma and all of that. It's time now to heal all of those parts of ourselves that we've dissociated with or have fragmented, to heal those shadows, to feel those emotions. And the thing is about the dark night is when you resist things or you try to escape from it, it doesn't work. And so many of those really difficult emotions will just erupt that much more to get your attention. You'll feel much more of that heaviness, and the dark night is very, very heavy. And it can seem like day in, day out, it's just nothing but heaviness, 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 heaviness. And you want to just get away from this. And sometimes you just want to turn back the hands of time and go, I just rather, almost like the Matrix, I wish I took the other pill. And that's the thing, you're awakening to the 3D matrix, so to speak. You're awakening to the realization that it's 3D, right? That it's all been illusion, that it's all been BS, and that it's the things that, again, you thought were true aren't really true. The things that you thought were real aren't very real to you, because they're not. They're 3D. And you're meant to go beyond the third dimension. So the third dimension is like the very conventional world of the 3D constructs of society, the things that they have sold to you and that you bought, basically, right, mentally. And you're meant to go beyond that and bring in your higher body of light, that higher 5D body of light. But there has to be a road there. You have to go through, this transformation. It's a very powerful and very difficult transformation in order to finally see the light. That's where the crone comes in. That's where the cauldron comes in. That's where the raven medicine comes in. And I have also behind me here the symbol of the broom. Of course, we know the witch's broom, right? The crone, the broom. The broom is all about cleansing. It's cleansing away that in which does not serve you any longer. Okay, and that also includes your space in terms of physical things that you keep around, physical people, relationships, all of those things that you really thought were good for you, those choices that you thought were the right choices according to who you thought you were. And in fact, they are not they're only serving your ego. They're only serving who you thought you were. They're only serving an ideology or a concept. And those things you are going beyond, my friend. Going beyond them. Into a much greater version of yourself. A much broader understanding of realities. A multidimensional view of things, an interconnection of all living things, where you would have thought yourself separate from source, separate from the elements, separate from people, that separation itself dying. Often people, when they go through the dark night of the soul, feel very isolated because nothing makes sense anymore, because you can't connect to yourself anymore how you used to. You can't connect to life. Often people go into this cave, metaphorical cave it out, and we go into hermit mode, and we feel very isolated, and we have a lot of those really heavy emotions come up from our past lives, this life. We have a lot of those negative thoughts coming up to the surface, those beliefs and stories that we have clung so tightly to, coming up and having us realize just how limiting, just how sabotaging they've been. And there's often this sense of just, wow, the mistakes I made, right? But they're all learning lessons. But oftentimes, we're in this isolated state going through the dark night, and we feel a lot of shame. We feel, my God, now it's accountability time. It's like, look what I did. Look what I chose. Look how I lived my life. Maybe I had an addiction, or maybe I had some sort of habit that wasn't serving, and maybe I've hurt a lot of people, I've hurt myself, and there's a lot of that comes up, and it can feel just awful. There could be a lot of self-blame that comes up. There could be a lot of guilt that comes up. Regret is another one. Just regretful for, the choices that were made, and how it's affected yourself and how it's affected others. And this is a time, when we go through this isolated, dark night of the soul, this is a time where it becomes just so raw and so real. And it's about really facing our fears. I mean, we hear that expression all the time, to face my fears. And it really does take such a strong person to face their fears. Facing your fears is not something that's easily done. But when you're facing your fears, you're facing everything that has created it. You're facing those thought patterns. You're facing those really difficult emotions that you have repressed for so long, things that you had tried to get away from, so to speak, not have to look at, not have to feel again. A lot of things from childhood, a lot of things from, the family dynamics, relationships that have been traumatic. It's like, in order to survive, right? In order to survive, this has been the way that we've pressed something down, don't want to look at it, just go on with life, and hopefully everything the dust settles and it all goes away. But does it really? No, it doesn't. It settles within us, right? It's still there energetically, and the dark night of the soul brings this up, so that way we can finally face it. We can finally go through what we haven't allowed ourselves to feel. We can finally go through those mental and emotional patterns and be free of them, basically. Really be liberated from it. In order to go through this, it really is an initiation, the dark night of the soul. We go through this time of initiation into this brand new light. So with the light that's born within the cauldron, or the light that's within the hearth, it's that new spark of hope, that new life, right? The new creativity, new creations. But in order to get there, we have to go through this pitch black dark, where we're facing the worst of our fears, and really needing to feel it out. So if I had to give, some really sound advice to anyone that's going through this, it really is about allowing yourself to truly feel what's coming up without resistance, without denial. Give yourself the time and the space to purge out many of these things, because that's what happens during the dark night of the soul. You purge so many of these things, and allow yourself time to be able to cry if you need that. If you're having angers come up, allow yourself that time to let them out in a very safe manner. Maybe punch a pillow, or whatever you need to do to allow yourself to do this in a way where you're not hurting anybody. I know how difficult it is, but it's so important that you give yourself the time and space. Journaling can help so much too, just to be able to write down your feelings, write down your thoughts, write what's coming up for you. And it's a prayer time. It really is a prayer time, I find. When I'm going through the dark night of the soul, I often turn to prayer. I turn to my higher spiritual team of light. I turn to Archangel Michael. I turn to the violet flame. Working with this, why I wore the color purple. Working with the violet flame is a great way of just purifying your energy, purifying yourself. And that could be very, very helpful too. But connecting with spirit, connecting with source is truly supportive. You'll often find that there'll be times where you don't feel like doing prayer too. So I just want to mention this also, where you just want to just sit, and it basically feels like you want to sit and do nothing but stare at a wall, but you're doing something, even though it looks like you're not doing anything. And what it is you're just tuning into your body. You're tuning into what's coming up out of your body, how your body's feeling, because so many times we carry a lot of those emotions within our body, right? If our body feels very, very stiff or tight up on top, or we're getting back pain, or we're getting stomach pain, those are all the indications that there are emotions, there's stuck energy that is creating those sensations, and it's looking for a way out. It wants to come out. It wants to be acknowledged. So sometimes all it is to really, be able to sit with that and allow it to come up. Tune into the way your body's feeling, and just allow, just allow for that. I really find some crystals that are helpful for this time. I love to use Well, amethyst is one because amethyst is connected to the violet fire. Amethyst will help to purify a lot of this that's coming up. But what's also really helpful about amethyst is that it helps with stress and it helps with anxiety and tension. So that's really supportive during the time. I also really like malachite. And here I have a malachite frog. Frog medicine, by the way, is great for dark night of the soul because frog is an emotional healer. A frog is a transformational medicine animal. But malachite is a transformational stone. That's why it's so perfect to be, on the frog. So malachite will help you to understand what's coming up. If there's emotions, if there's energy that's been repressed, if it's stuck within the body, malachite can help to draw it out. You may want to just see how often you want to use malachite because it can be a little strong. So if you find it's very overwhelming, then just use it sparingly, But malachite could be super important. I also love black tourmaline. Black tourmaline helps to ground a lot. It helps to also absorb and transform negative energy that we often obviously go through during the dark night of the soul. But it helps us to become very, very rooted and connected to our bodies and, connected to the planet as we're going through these processes. So I understand just, what many of you are going through. And oftentimes with the dark night of the soul, it just feels like there's no hope, right? You feel very hopeless. You might be within this rejection of self, rejection of life, rejection of other people. Again, this is all stuff that's coming up from the past in order to be healed, to be released, what's not serving. And we're only here to reintegrate, the lessons, the growth, the good things that we have acquired from the choices that we have made. So do we ever really make mistakes? Are there real mistakes? No, there's always learning lessons. And those are the ones that we want to retain so we can actually acquire more wisdom, like the crone, right? The crone is so wise because the crone has been through so much. The crone, she's seen it all. She's been through it all. She is somebody that, the village people can come to for guidance, for that wisdom, because she has firsthand experience. So if you think of it in that way, and just remind yourself that the choices that you made, okay, sure, they were negative choices. You often think to yourself, maybe I shouldn't have made that choice. I wish I didn't do that. I was a jerk. I was dirty. I was this. I was that. We tend to judge ourselves, right? If you can, one of the things, if you can stay out of judging yourself as best as you can, stay out of the judgment zone and just remind yourself that you did the best that you could at that time and that you are learning valuable lessons, valuable wisdom that you're going to be able to pass that forward to other people who need it. Then it's like you find a rhyme and a reason within all of this. You find that and you go, okay, well, that's what I want to do. I want to be able to help people with whatever I went through, whether you've had an addiction, whether you've had issues with your physical body, whether you've had all these really very negative coping mechanisms, whatever it is, whatever the negative pattern was, negative, whatever that habit or addiction was. There is a light that's coming, and the choices that you made at that time, there's so many lessons, because if you can get through that, and you can, then there's just so much to be said of you can help somebody else who's in your position. Remind yourself that this is temporary. I know while you're going through it, it feels like it's going to last forever. You feel like you're dying, and you feel like you just can't take another moment of waking up. And you have those days where you just don't want to get up out of bed. If you could just stay there and not have to deal with life, that would be better. But give give yourself whatever you need is also my advice at the time. Realize it's going to pass, and it will. But stay present. That's a big one during the dark night of the soul. Stay as present as you can without allowing yourself to get lost in the past by thinking the past was better, or regretting the past, or judging yourself for the past, or trying to think about what the future is going to be, and oh my gosh, I can't wait to get to the future. Why can't I just get there already? You don't want to be here, and you don't want to be here. You want to be right here. You want to be staying with yourself and what you're going through. You want to stay with your breath, with your physical body, with whatever suffering you're going through. If you're going through this at this time, you want to stay with that suffering and acknowledge it with love, okay, as much as you can. If your schedule is lopsided, if you feel like you need to sleep in, if, there's some days you just feel like you can't do it, whatever it is, just give yourself what you need. If you're having a really, really bad day and it's just, you can't get yourself to pray, you can't get yourself to do a meditation or anything like that, then allow that day to be what it is. Okay? Allow it. Allowing is another huge advice that I have, is just allowing yourself without trying to control, because control that's what's breaking down. That's the destruction there of all of this control and on all of this conceptual thinking. Trying to control who you are, trying to control, what you showed people out there. It's that you're being shed from. You're being shed from those layers that aren't truly you. So just allow these processes and give yourself what you need. Give yourself the time that you need, and whatever that day is like, just stay with yourself and stay with the emotions and stay with the thoughts and stay with whatever's there for you, right in front of you, because it's going to help, so much more. Sometimes I feel also what helps me is just to kind of stop myself and just take deep breaths. Just breathe into your body, just straight up balancing and grounding without any meditation and prayer sometimes will serve you best. Just breathing, just being with the body and allowing the processes to do with what they need to do and staying present. There's that presence while you're being grounded. That's going to help, not stop anything from moving forward. You're going to be working with the transformation rather than against it. If you feel during the dark night of the soul that, and often people do, as I mentioned about, the readings that I do for people, but if it's not me and it's somebody else, if you feel like you need that extra support, if you feel like you need to talk to somebody, if you feel like you need some energy work done, if you need that therapist, life coach, whatever it is, and you feel like that's going to be supportive to help you to just navigate everything, then my advice is do it. Listen to your gut, listen to your intuition. Your intuition is not going to steer you wrong. Remember, you have a higher self that's with you through all of this. So even though you may feel, some days that you're not going to make it, or life's not worth it, or you can't do it, or you're exhausted, your higher self is there and knows the way, and your higher self knows you can do it. And you're often going to get a lot of guidance from your higher self, as well as your spiritual team, as to how to navigate your journey personally, what would help you, who could help you. So whatever you're feeling, so if you're feeling like reaching out for some assistance, it might be time to do that. Sometimes just by talking to somebody else who really gets you and understands you, they're on the same type of journey as you, even that can be so helpful, because oftentimes with these spiritual transformations, these awakenings, we can't resonate with a lot of people, right? We're feeling different. Everyone else is kind of cruising through, it seems like they're cruising through the 3D matrix, and here we are, we're just aware of things that it's just not making us happy or fulfilled anymore. They seem to be doing okay. We're having issues with how we see life and ourselves. It's good to just have somebody hear you out. Even just that can be so supportive. Even if you have a friend who's going through something that's similar, to pick up the phone and just, Don't try to be a martyr. There's some advice there. I've often tried that. Trying to be a martyr. Oh, I can do it. I'm not going to reach out for help. No, we're all in it together. And it's so important to remind yourself of that you're not alone. You're not alone with this. So if you need that, please do connect with other people. I am here. You can reach me on the paranormalpriestess.com. I'm here for readings, for channelings. I'm also here for light language transmissions, light language healing sessions, and those have been incredible with helping to just shift things, activate things, help you to realize what's not serving you and helping you to work through that. So light language could be very, very supportive, and I often do light languages on my channel, as I did with the video before. So I just want to keep it at that, and this video is a little long, but I hope that this video has served you. Stay with it. I know it's a time that seems like it's just, it's a very hard to find words to describe it sometimes, but please know that my heart goes out to you. I send light and blessings to you. You are going to get through this. You're going to be incredible. You're going to surprise yourself as to how much potential you have, how much better you feel when you come through this, and just how meaningful your life will be, much more meaningful than it ever has before, and how much meaning you're going to help to bring into other people's lives when you're of service. So if you can remind yourself of the greater picture as you're going through the anxiety, the depression, the exhaustion, and all of that, remind yourself of that, journal it, write it, even some affirmations, that too, affirm it. Hopefully that will help you to know that you are on your way to something absolutely incredible. And this is just one of those ways, right? We're going through, it's a crossroads. It's a crossroads on your journey. A very important crossroads. So thank you, and remember, and this is very true for this video, from the heart of the darkness is born the light. Take good care, and I will see you very soon.